In this art demo video, I'll create 3 quick intuitive abstract paintings with black acrylic paint on white paper. By practicing this type of intuitive exercise, you can shake up your creative routine and inspire new composition ideas for some of your future paintings. Hey everyone, it's Chris Loud. With the exception of where I sped up the video whenever I was drawing the paintings, and a few areas I cut out when nothing was happening on screen, I'll play this at regular speed so you get a better idea of how quick this went. And at the end, we'll take a brief look at each piece and have a quick thought about the composition. So I started off with some Mars Black paint and a color shaper. You can see that I sprayed some water on this to get a little bit of drips, to move the water around a little bit and have start with a little midtones. Now what I just dropped on the page was something I'm using as a stencil, but it basically was part of a hanger for some new socks that I recently bought, and I liked the pattern on that, so I hung on to it for just this purpose, to try it out and experiment with that as a stencil. So I just kind of held that over each of these pieces and dropped it and just let it, spray painted where it laid. So again, this is kind of intuitive and by chance, so I'm just kind of going with what's happening on the screen. And you'll see me bring out this pre-cut 5x7 mat to look at different areas of the pieces here. And you'll notice that each of those are kind of long and thin. Nothing that I would probably mat and frame, but if I did see something in these that I liked, that's one of the reasons I was holding this pre-cut mat up, was to just take a look and see if there were any areas that I liked that maybe I could cut out later. But primarily I was kind of looking at the composition overall and looking at different corners. So I'm using some bubble wrap now, putting a little titanium white, and this is really the only time that I used white paint in any of these. Otherwise it was just black paint on white paper. So I talk a lot about doing warm-up paintings in our daily routines, but keep in mind that even those can become stale over time, which can reduce their effectiveness. When we repeat the same exercises or approaches too often, we might start going through the motions without fully engaging creatively. And that can lead to a lack of excitement, new ideas, or exploration in our work. So it's important to shake up our routine now and then to keep things fresh and less predictable, and to add a burst of spontaneity. And that can help kind of disrupt the repetitive nature of a structured routine, and helps us to approach our art with fresh energy and excitement. And that's kind of how I was feeling this week, not quite as creative with my warm-ups. So I shook things up a little and went back to the basics of painting with black and white and in a shorter time frame. And because I have been thinking more about composition lately, I had a little more focus in that area. So you can see that I'm using now a stick to just make some marks. I also brought in a point liner pen, and it was clearly running out of ink, so I didn't get much down with that. But I enjoyed kind of experimenting with this stick, and just, when you're using a stick like this, and I keep kind of turning it in my fingers, so the marks are somewhat not very predictable, I should say, and I really enjoyed using that, and I think I will probably use a stick a little bit more in some of these. It's a great time to kind of experiment. And before I forget, if you like this video, feel free to give this a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, other tutorials, art demos, and challenges, please feel free to subscribe. And as always, if you have any feedback or questions, I'd love for you to leave me a comment. So as I said, I keep bringing out this pre-cut mat and holding it over different areas and kind of examining each little quadrant there just to see, if I felt that would hold up as an individual painting, just based on, the simplicity of the black and white and kind of thinking about composition. And some of the benefits of intuitively painting fast, kind of minimalist abstract paintings with black paint are things like, sparking your creative flow. When you paint quickly and instinctively, new ideas emerge naturally, and those can often lead to exciting and unexpected results that can inspire larger and more complex works. And I definitely feel like that's kind of where I'll be headed with at least two of these pieces. So I'm going to start a separate piece here. And again, I'm just playing here and making some marks and moving the paint around with this color shaper. And we can also develop unique compositions, as I said before, kind of with a focus on that for me with these. Working fast with a limited palette and simple tools helps us explore different compositions without getting bogged down. Again, this can lead to fresh ideas. As these quick experiments can often lead to bold and original compositions that can be revisited later. Because, we obviously have less color and we don't have as much happening in the painting. The composition and the focal point are sometimes more apparent. Not always, but a lot of the time. I'm just bringing the stick out again and playing with that. And it can also help experiment and build confidence in our mark making. And I really felt like I was kind of doing a little bit more of that in this painting, especially with that stick and that stencil, playing with that. So like I said, I played with water-based spray paint and a stencil and pens until the ink kind of ran out, color shapers, and then that stick. So we become more comfortable with the imperfections and trust our instincts, which is pretty essential for creative growth. So just working with some splatters here. I'll be interested to see if you see anything in this particular painting. I'll show you at the end. I'll kind of, as we're looking at these, I'll move it around and show different orientations. But several of these, I kind of feel like I'm spotting some things in these, which is kind of fun. Okay, so let's take a quick look at each of these. In this first piece, this is the full piece that I painted and played with. Now let's bring in the pre-cut mat. I'm looking at this corner, and that's probably closer to what I would go with if I cut this. I probably will trim this down a little bit. Something like that, I think. Looking at the composition for me, and you can tell me in the comments if you see something different, but to me this is the focal point for a couple of reasons. One, you've got the contrast between the black here and the patterns, and then the lines, the different marks over here. Then you've got the contrast between the dark color and the lighter area, the dark color and the mid-tones. So also with the shape, this just naturally stands out. Now we can also look at, you've got something kind of pointing down this way with this patterned area. This almost is kind of coming down, pointing to this. And then maybe not quite as noticeable on camera, but this is kind of pulling up as well. So to me, that is really the focal point. And again, we'll just kind of look at the other areas, moving over just a little bit. That I think works as well. This one not so much, pretty busy, not too fond of that. This one kind of busy again, some weird way that kind of works for me, but I think this is really kind of the way to go on that one. So we'll just take a quick look at this, turning it around, different orientations. I don't really like the other orientations. This one I'm okay with. This one's not too bad, but I think for me this is the way to go with this one. So let's grab the other piece here. We'll do the same thing. So that's the full piece. And if I go in this area again, I think this kind of is the one that works. I'd go with, maybe even pull that down just slightly. For me, the focal point in this is this area right up here. A couple reasons. One, you've got the variations in the color with the lighter, the darker, and then the mid-tone. You also have kind of a rectangular shape up here. But this area kind of stands out from everything else. It's less busy. So for me, that's the part that I think is the focal area. Now again, you tell me if you see something different in that. We'll take a quick turn here and look at different orientations. And I don't really think that any of the other orientations work as well for me, but let's take a quick look. And now I do like that as well. I like this big open area here. It makes the rest of this kind of stand out, so that is another option as well. And pulling this down, I actually really like that also. Very different, but really like that. And then that works for me a little bit, but not quite as much as the others. So let's look at the last piece here. I think this one was kind of a fun one. What I see in this in particular, when I looked at this, was kind of a flower bud that had not opened up yet. So you've got this kind of round and a little bit of a stem here, and then you've got another section that looks like it's just starting to break off and break open. Another here. Something else I saw in this, I don't see it quite as well right now, but was the face of a monkey kind of looking this way, eyes, kind of a mouth and the face area here, nose area. But we'll turn it this way and take a look at that. Now I'm going to tell you what I see, and once you see that, you probably won't see anything different, see anything else. But I see a panda in this. You've got eyes, nose, and ear, and then you've got this black pattern down here. And then here, I actually see another kind of face. Eye, nose, mouth, possibly an ear here as well. And then this one, I don't really see anything in particular in this, but I do really like that. Now let's look at the composition here. This has unintentionally kind of an S pattern, an S composition, where you've got this kind of shape going through here. And it kind of guides you, much like the L, but just in a different way, kind of guides you through the piece. But again, really like this a lot. Again, you can kind of see the S here, although panda is what I'm seeing. And then you've got the S here, and again the S here. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you see a different focal point, different kind of composition. Thanks for watching, and keep on painting.